In this playlist, I am going to create a full-fledged Flutter application for Android and iOS. In this playlist, you will learn each and everything you need to know to create your full-fledged application for Android and iOS. I will start from very beginning and we will go to the advanced concepts. And let's get started. First of all, we need to set up our Flutter development environment on our laptop. So the first step would be downloading an IDE, a platform where you will code to develop your application. And there are two options, VS Code and Android Studio. You can use either of Android Studio or VS Code. So I will go with the Android Studio just because it's recommended by the Google, and it is best for mobile app development. So let's get started. Open your browser and go to google.com, and here you need to search for the Android Studio. And just click on the first link that you will see on your screen after searching Android Studio. And after that you need to click on this download Android Studio button. And once you will click on that, you will see this agreement. If you want to read it from top to bottom, and then click on the I have read and agree with the above terms and conditions, and then this download button will appear. Just click on that. Within a second your downloading will started on here, and it will take some time depending upon your internet speed. And once it's done, I will come back and we will proceed to the next process. Okay, so downloading is finished. So let me go to the download folder. Here we have the Android Studio setup that I just downloaded. So you will double click on it. If you have IDM downloader, then you will find this file under the programs folder that will be automatically created on here by the IDM. Here you need to click on the next and next, and from here you can select your desired location where you want to keep the Android Studio, and I will go with the default one. So click next and install. It's gonna take 1 to 2 minutes. Okay, so it's done. Now we need to click on next. Keep it checked and click on finish. And here we have the Android Studio. Just click OK and make sure you select this do not import settings. It will be selected by default, but if it's not, you will have to click on do not import setting and then click on OK. And click on don't send and just click on next and next. And from here you can select the theme that you want to use during development. If you like the light theme, then click on the light, and if you want to use the dark theme, then it's by default dark. So I would like to go with the dark theme, and just click on next. And from here you make sure all of these fields are checked by default and click next. And now it will install some necessary components. It's gonna take a lot of time. You need to make sure you have a stable internet connection, and you have to wait for it until it download and installs all of the necessary components. And now you need to click on next, and from here we need to accept some agreements. Click on accept. Accepted. This one is accepted also, and also we need to accept this agreement also, and this one. Now we have accepted all of the agreements, and now you see this finish button is enabled. Now you can click on the finish button. It will start downloading and installing some necessary components, so you have to wait until it's done. And once it's done, I will come back and we will proceed to the further process. So our installation is finished, and now we need to click on finish, and you will see this window that your Android Studio is ready, and now we can start creating applications. First of all, we need to make sure that we have installed everything correctly, and then we will proceed for the further process of setting up our Flutter environment. So for that, for now you will click on new project, and from here you will select empty activity. Here I'm just going to create a native application just to make sure that the Android Studio is working properly, and then we will proceed to the next process of setting up our Flutter environment into the laptop, and select the empty activity and click on next. You can go with the default name just because we are just creating this project for our assurity that Android Studio is working fine, and we don't need to change anything. And just choose the Java on here and click on finish, and again it's going to install some necessary components, and it's not gonna take a lot of time just because it's a very small size file, 63 MBs, and it will be finished in 2 to 3 minutes. I'll come back once it's done, and then we'll proceed to the further process. So it's finished, and now we can click on finish button, and here we have our Android Studio dashboard. Let it take its time to download and load some necessary components, and in the meantime we can proceed further downloading the Flutter SDK and other necessary components that we need to install for our Flutter development. And don't minimize it, just keep it working in the background thread, and we can open the browser again, and you need to go to the google.com, and from here you need to search Flutter for Windows. And here you will see window install Flutter documentation. Click on that and scroll a little bit down, and here you will see under this definition, get the Flutter SDK, this button, Flutter Windows stable.zip. You will find the latest Flutter SDK from here, and it will start downloading. And this is the Flutter SDK that we are going to use for Flutter app development. It's gonna take some time, just because it's 800 MBs file. So once it's finished, I'll come back and we'll proceed to the further process. So our downloading is finished, and let's go to the download folder and let's see what we got. And here, this is the zip file that we just downloaded. It's a Flutter SDK in zip file. And to unzip this file, we need WinRAR software. If you already have WinRAR software in your laptop, then just right click on this file, and you will see extract here option on here. If you don't have the WinRAR, let's download that. Just go to Google, and here type WinRAR and download WinRAR, and just click on this download button, and it will start downloading. It's a very small file of 3 MBs. Click on open file and just install it, and it's installed in our laptop. And now let's go back to the download folder where we have our Flutter SDK, and now you will see the Flutter SDK like this. And now you can extract the files from this zip file. Click on extract here, and you will see your Flutter SDK on here. And also, if you want to keep your Flutter SDK on not in the download folder, you want to keep your Flutter SDK in some other drive, then click on right click on this file and click on extract files, and from here you can choose where you want to keep this Flutter SDK. You can keep in D drive, F drive, wherever you want. I want to keep it in the download folder, that's why I just click on extract here instead of extract files. So it's extracting the Flutter SDK. It's gonna take 2 to 3 minutes. So here we have our extracted folder, Flutter SDK. Now the next thing you need to do is go to your start menu and search for environment variable. Here you have that, and from here we need to define the path of our Flutter SDK. So click on the environment variable, and from here you will click on the path, and here I'm gonna open this Flutter folder that we just downloaded and go to the bin folder and click on here and copy this path and paste that path on here like that, and click on OK and OK and OK. And now we finish setting up our environment variables also, and we also have the Flutter SDK, and also our Android Studio has finished all of downloading and installing and loading all of the necessary components to become functional. And as we are not going to create a native Java application, we are going to do a Flutter development. I'll just close this project from here, close project. And now you need to go into the plugins bar, and from plugins make sure you have selected the marketplace, not the installed tab. In the marketplace I will search for the Flutter, and here you will see the Flutter plugin. Install it and accept. It's a very small file of 12 MBs. It's not gonna take a lot of time. Okay, so our Flutter plugin is installed successfully. Now we need to restart our Android Studio, and just click on this restart IDE button and restart it. Okay, so our Android Studio is successfully restarted, and now you will get this button, new Flutter project, and also the new project. If you will click on the new project, will take you to the project creation process for the native Android application. And if you will click on the new Flutter project, then it will bring you to the Flutter application creation process. And we will go with the new Flutter project. And from here you need to select Flutter from the sidebar, and make sure you need to define the path on here. The path of Flutter SDK that we just downloaded from the Flutter website, and click on this browse button. And you know, we stored that Flutter SDK into the downloads folder, so I will go to the downloads folder. Here I have the downloads folder, and here we have the Flutter SDK. And from this Flutter SDK, just choose this Flutter folder and click OK. And now you will see the path of your Flutter SDK on here, and then you will click on next, and here you will write the name of your project. So let's say test app, and from here again you can select the path where you want to keep your projects. By default it will go into the Android Studio projects, which is inside your main users folder, and I will keep it on here by default. I don't want to change my path, so I will cancel it. I will go with the default path. And here you can put a small description of your application. For example, this is just testing application. And in the organization section, you need to define the package name. Package name is basically the unique identifier for your project. So if you have any domain, for example www.yourapp.com, then you can use that domain in a reverse process. For example, com.yourapp.www.yourappname. Or if you don't have the unique domain, you can use your email in a reverse order. For example, I have this email, csf6265@gmail.com. But you cannot use special characters on here like this @, so you can skip that, and just write com.csf6265 and you can also add www. It will make you unique in the whole world. And then dot your app name. This app name will make your own app unique in your other applications available on Play Store. So this way you can make your application unique in the whole world. So if you have a domain, then that's very good. You can write com.mydomain, whatever domain you have, .www, and that's it. You don't need to put dot your app name, just because when you will write the package name on here, Flutter will automatically add your app name after that. So you don't need to do this. Just write your domain in reverse order or your email in reverse order. That's enough. And let's keep rest of the thing as it is and just click on finish. And it says that the Android Studio projects folder does not exist. Let it create that folder. Just click on create, and if this dialog appears in front of you, and here we have a very simple project that we got by default from the Flutter. And if you see Android on here, just click on that and select project from here, and here you will see all of these files. In the library file lib, we will get this main file. This is the sample counter application that is by default created by Flutter, and this is one screen application. And now our Flutter is ready to use. We have set up all of the Flutter environment in our laptop. Now the next process is going to be running our project on Emulator. So click on this device manager icon, and here you will see the Emulator. If you don't have a very good specs in your laptop, then you can also attach a mobile phone to run the applications with the help of a wire or data cable, and by enabling the developers mode in your mobile application. And just because we got this emulator, I will click on play, and it says that HAXM is required to run the emulator. I thought it's already installed. Just click on OK. So I think it will automatically install it. So click on next. It's gonna install this HAXM software in your computer, and click on finish. Now let's start again. In so in these laptops you will face this problem, that it will not install the HAXM software by default. You need to download it and install it. So I'm sure that if you're not using Dell laptop, you will not see this issue. And if you see this issue, then we need to download the HAXM, and it's a very small file of some KBs. Download HAXM, you will write on Google, and here you need to click on the first link, which is github.com, and here you will see this option, downloads the latest HAXM release for Windows and Mac OS. Click on here, and it will bring you to this page. And for Windows, we can download it from here, and it's downloaded. Let's go to the downloads folder and double click on it, and here you will see the setup exe file. Double click on it, and here you have the setup for installing HAXM. Next, and install it. And once you install this, and now you need to restart your IDE. Just close it from here and open it again, and now it will run your emulator and your application on the emulator, and we will not see that old error related to HAXM. Okay, let's run the application from here. If you see this dialog waiting for debugger, just cancel it, and it will run your Android Studio immediately. And here we need to wait for the Android Studio to become ready for running our application. It's gonna take some time for the first time when you will open your emulator. And now our emulator is ready to use, and if you see this system UI isn't responding, just click on wait or close app, and it will keep coming. It's a problem with my hardware, so you don't need to worry about it. And just click on this play button, and make sure you have selected this Pixel 3a API 33 or whatever emulator you have got with Android Studio, and click on this play button. And for the first time, again, it's gonna take some time to compile your application, and after some time you will be able to see the application running on your emulator. For the first time, it will install again some necessary components. and we need to wait until it's successfully finished all of the process of Gradle setup, and it will automatically run your application once it's done. So you have to keep patience for the very first time when you are running your application with the Flutter on Emulator, and on the second time it will not take a lot of time. It will keep compiling your application within 1 to 2 minutes. So for the first time some patience is required, so you have to wait for it. And the wait is over. Here you can see your application is running on your emulator, and that's the default application that you get when you create your Flutter project for the very first time. It's a very basic counter application. Whenever you will click on this plus button, it will increment the number, and that's what we get with the default project. For creating your own application, you can remove this code that you get by default, and just remove it. And here from now we don't have this my home page, and just remove this const also and this title. And from here I'll create another screen. Just press STF, and if you don't see the suggestions, press Ctrl plus space and you will see this STFUL, and just hit enter on that, and you will see some code is created by default. And here now you can name your page my home page. This is basically a screen that we are going to create, and here you see this container widget. I will take a child of it, which is center. This center widget will keep whatever we will writing in it in the center of the screen. And here again child, and I'm gonna take a text widget, and I will write testing app, and also I'm gonna give it some style, and font size 22, and by default its color will be black. And don't worry about the widgets and about this all of this code. I will explain each and everything to you, what is it and why we got that, and how we can proceed to creating our application from very beginning. And for now, let's see what we get from this code on our screen. By pressing Ctrl plus S, your application will be restarted. And now we don't for the first time you need to reload your application. Just click on this play button again. Here you see we have testing app text in the center of our screen by default. And if I copy this container, let me format the code, and format code with a dot code style, and cut this container from here and take a scaffold instead of container. And in the scaffold you will get two options, app bar, and we can create an app bar on here with the title text my app bar, and also put the semicolon after the widget that you are returning, and body. In the whatever we are going to display on our screen will come inside the body. Body will take a widget, and we can paste that container on here that we just copied before. And now if you press Ctrl plus S, you will see some changes on your screen. Here we have an app bar with this title my app bar, and here we have this text testing app. And again, you don't need to worry about all of this code, about the widgets, as I already said that I will explain each and everything from very basic. And in the next tutorial I will start creating an application from very scratch, and I will guide you with each and everything. Now it's ready to create applications, and in the next tutorial I will start developing an application from very scratch, and I will let you know how to keep going and how to follow the best programming practices, and also what are all of these widgets, each and everything. Just keep reading the documentation and keep practicing at your end. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.